Trojan Fairley. What's up, man? USCJ here. It's the top of the morning. It's the top of the morning. I hope everybody is getting ready to get up, get out, and make some things happen this morning. Listen, we got to talk about USC matching up with this LSU football team. Listen, there were a couple of things that ran through my mind, and it's very clear that LSU is going to attempt to try to play bully ball, and I say that because you guys know I talked about the offensive lineman Will Campbell, who made reference to wanting to get into a fist fight. I talked about that yesterday, but he kind of doubled down. And there were some other podcasts as well that doubled down on the fist fight thing. You know, there was another guy from a podcast that said that the West Coast is soft, and made reference to the fist fight thing, and he tried to put those things together. But it's clear that they're going to try to impose their will on USC football team and try to attack the weaknesses, the weakness of USC from last year, because I think that weakness is gone. However, I do think that USC absolutely has to prove that weakness doesn't exist anymore. But in the midst of really looking at this matchup and thinking about it, and while I do think that they're going to attempt to try to play bully ball, I believe that USC is going to be able to neutralize that. I believe that D'Anton Lynn is going to, create some schemes that's going to cause some absolute problems. I believe some stacking the box things. I believe you guys already know that D'Anton Lynn defense just creates all types of havoc, and it comes from different ways, all types of pressures coming from all types of angles. And I believe that he's going to attack it that way. I believe that's the way we should attack it, because, yes, we are playing against one of the best offensive lines in the country. They say that this is the best offensive line ever. And so that's an incredible statement to make. LSU really hasn't had, I think the last offensive lineman they had was like 1998, something like that. Crazy. I can't even remember the guy's name, but they haven't had an offensive line on this level in some time. And so they're calling it the best offensive line ever. But I think that when you look at some of the matchups and some of the things that D'Anton Lynn could do, I think that he could be extremely creative. I think that he will be extremely creative. And I think that he will cause some confusion the same way he did with multiple offenses that he played against last year. He did it with us. And you guys know Caleb it was just a little bit of confusion. And that's what it does. You got guys that come from everywhere. Now, here's the question that I have. Can Anthony Lucas, who's a 5-star, who has a size standing at 6'6", can he become Latu from UCLA last year? Because look, as far as the overall picture, as far as the overall players, D'Anton Lynn, he made the comment the other day. We didn't make it. He made it. He said that USC has more depth than that UCLA team from last year. And it was primarily a guy that was, that was moving and grooving for the most part. Yes, they had Jay Tafoya. They had some other guys that were on the line. But I think that, I'm going to echo what D'Anton Lynn said as far as the defensive line is concerned, that USC defensive line has just as much depth as that UCLA team. So the question is, can Anthony Lucas become Latu? I think he can. I think he has that potential. It takes somebody like him, D'Anton Lynn, to unlock a guy's potential, like a guy like Anthony Lucas. Anthony Lucas being a rated 5-star coming out, going to Texas A&M, and now here at USC. That there were several guys that were not utilized the right way last year, and as a result, we saw an absolute lost in the sauce defense. We're not going to deny that. However, we think that this is a quiet confidence that this team is playing with, and I want to take a couple sound bites. I want you guys to hear a couple of things that D'Anton Lynn said and Jamil Muhammad. These guys they're displaying a quiet confidence right now, and I think it's straight up go time. But here's the other question. The other question is this: what did LSU do personnel-wise in the transfer portal? Because when you look at USC in the transfer portal, look at the guys we got this past season. We got John Humphreys, who came from UCLA, right? We got Kamari Ramsey, who came from UCLA. We got the Arnold brothers. We got Issa Mascarenas Arnold, who's starting linebacker for us, right? We have a brand new linebacker, Issa Mascarenas Arnold. We got Akili Arnold, who's playing safety, who came from Oregon State. Those two guys. So I just named you 4 guys, John Humphrey, and I named you Kamari Ramsey. On the defensive line, we got Nate Clifton that came from Vanderbilt, right? We got Gavin Myers that came from Wyoming. And so when you look at these guys, and then you got Grady Vance as well, who came from Florida State, who happened to play against Florida State, who happened to play against LSU last season. And then, of course, we got DeCarlos Nicholson, who came from Mississippi State, who played against LSU as well. And D'Anton Lynn kind of made reference to those guys. So when you look at, did our team change from a personnel standpoint from the guys that from the position, or from the side of the ball that we really lacked that last year? And the answer is yes. Now, the question is, did LSU change dramatically? On that side of the ball, where their position, where that particular group lacked? The answer is no. They had a couple of guys. They got Javion Suggs. You guys know we were in the mix for him, who came from Grand Valley State, but it doesn't even look like he's going to start. It looks like he's going to be more so at the second string spot. And then they got the guy that came from Wisconsin. I think he was a defensive tackle that played against LSU last year. I can't remember his name, but I think that's really it. If I'm wrong, you guys, LSU fans, you guys hit me in the comments, let me know. But from a personnel standpoint, I think they're really relying more so on the defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, more than anything. I don't think it's really that much of a dramatic change. Like USC, pretty much, when you look at the projected starters, most of those guys that came over in the transfer portal are going to start. Whether it's Nate Clifton starting at defensive tackle or whether it's Gavin Meyer. Most of those guys that came in the portal are going to get that run. So, from that standpoint, did those guys really do something dramatic on the ball that's going to alter and that's going to change their defense, their defensive effort? I think they're solely relying on their Blake Baker to really, add intensity and add technique and add scheme to really, really try to help those guys be a better defense. And you guys know LSU's defense was in the same boat as us last year, being that they were ranked 105 or something. We were ranked like number 115. We were both lost in the sauce, but as I stated, we added way more pieces, and then we added arguably, we can argue this, a better defensive coordinator based on the results last year. D'Anton Lynn finished number 11th overall in the country in total defense, whereas Missouri finished number 33, if I'm not mistaken, in total defense last year. So those are some things that we got to look at, and I think that USC is absolutely going to move and groove, and I think they're underestimating USC from a defensive side of the ball, and I think they're going to try to impose their will, and that's going to be the game plan for this LSU football team. You guys can drop those comments. You guys can tell me what you think, but I think that's the way it's going to go. But I think USC's playing with a quiet confidence, and I want you guys to hear what D'Anton Lynn had to say in reference to that. Listen to this.
Like I said, we've known what the challenge is going to be all off season, so we're just focused on getting better each day, which I feel like the guys have gotten. So we're just excited to finally get to go out there and do it against somebody.
So D'Anton Lynn, look, it's not like we've had plenty of time to really focus on this. We have plenty of time to really see what pieces we need to put in play, and they're not, they're not getting all over the internet and making crazy comments. They're playing. They have a quiet confidence, and then you listen to even what Jamil Muhammad had to say. Jamil Muhammad, it appears that he has a quiet confidence as well, and I like it like that. And I think that's the approach that we should have, because look, it's going to be a fight. We're not going to deny that. It's going to be a dog fight, and may the best man win. I think USC is going to win, but at the end of the day, I think really having that focus, and I think more so than anything, just like in a boxing match, you got guys that try to get in your head, to try to use reverse psychology, and I think that for USC to be approaching it like this. I even listened to what Mason Cobb had to say yesterday. Somebody asked him about the fist fight comment that Will Campbell made, and Mason Cobb said, I don't even know what you're talking about. He said he turned off social media. He haven't even turned on his Twitter. So, I think some of these guys are really locking in, rightfully so. I think they need to lock in. I think this is a game that, look, man, you got to lock out all social media, because it's all about playing the mind games. And I think this team, from a preparation standpoint, I think they're going to be very, very prepared. But listen to what Jamil Muhammad had to say in reference to just being prepared. Listen to this.
And once again, I mean, we've been working super hard all winter, summer, off season, to just correct the things that we know we have to be better at, both individually and systematically. So, I mean, again, we're super excited. It's going to be a show, and I can't wait to see, myself, my brothers, showcase what we've been working on, showcase how hard we've been working, and how, ready we are for the moment.
All right, so Jamil Muhammad is ready for the moment. I think this team is ready for the moment. But look, let me real quick before I get out of here. I just want to ask you a question. I talked about their defense, and I talked about our defense. I talked about the pieces that we brought, the pieces that they brought. USC brought wins in that category as far as bringing more pieces to the table and not essentially going out there with the same defense. But the question is this Miller Moss, is this the best? This is a little small, but forgive me for that. Is this when you look at the team from last year, the teams we played last year, is this the best defense that USC is going to face? And I just want you guys to really remember, we played against a Louisville team, and Miller Moss showed up against a Louisville team. Now, there's some going to say, oh, Jay, that was a bowl game. I don't care what game it was. Louisville last year, they were the number 15 team in the country. They beat up on a good Notre Dame team, right? They played some good teams. And they finished out with a pretty decent defense. A defense, coincidentally, that was ranked higher than that Missouri team, right? I mean, let's not forget that defense was ranked higher than Missouri defense. And I think they're really, really underestimating the ability of this USC football team. I think that, when you put the pieces into play, when you match these pieces up, you got to factor in so many things. And the way Miller Moss was able to slice and dice a decent Louisville team from a defensive standpoint, I remember a running back opting out, but I don't remember. Most of their defense was there. And so that excuse, you could kind of eliminate that excuse as far as USC not facing a decent team. So, man, look, drop those comments, man. Those are just some observations of mine that as this game gets closer, you kind of want to start dissecting things, picking things apart, and just piecing everything together, whether it's their defense, the players they got that came there, whether it's our defense, the players that we now came here through the portal. We have to put all of it together and really see how this thing is going to move and groove, because at the end of the day, this coming Sunday, it's going to be straight up go time. It's going to be on and popping. It's going to be on and cracking. Look, hit me in the comments. Tell me what you think. LSU is going to try to run it down our throat. I think D'Anton Lynn's going to try to neutralize that by bringing lots and lots of pressure, man. Hit me in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. It's USCJ32 on Instagram, USCJ32 on Twitter. Until later on, fight on, fight on, fight on.